Alright, so we are here in the 2019 Toyota Tundra CrewMax Platinum. That is Toyota's way of saying this is their half-ton truck with the largest cab and smallest bed. The bed is 5.5 feet long, and the cab is a full crew cab, just like any other four-door, full-size pickup truck. We'll be talking about kind of general impressions of this vehicle, as well as how it does while towing a trailer and handling trackside support duties at a racetrack. And for more impressions on this truck, as well as to follow along in the competitive endeavors of other LGBT folks in motorsport, head on over to outmotorsports.com. So, talking about towing. Now, a lot of people will start out with an open trailer, so it looks like a U-Haul trailer that you would tow behind a U-Haul van. Flat piece of metal. You put your car on it, and the car is exposed to the elements. Those trailers can be towed by almost any midsize or larger crossover SUV or truck. You're looking at generally a combined weight of no more than, say, 5,000 pounds or so. And stability in that case is really just dependent on how far forward or backward you load the car on the trailer. Once you get to a certain point, you may want to upgrade to an enclosed trailer. It's kind of like your home away from home at the racetrack. Some of them feel like they're about the size of an apartment in Washington, D.C. And when you start towing an enclosed trailer, you really have to worry about general stability due to aerodynamics, not just what the vehicle is rated to pull. So when you see something that says, oh, it can pull 7,000 pounds, 8,000 pounds, well, how long is the wheelbase? How heavy is the tow vehicle? How well is it going to handle this thing? Is it really stiffly sprung? Can it handle a big crosswind, or is it going to be too soft? When you go for a trailer that's going to put this big of a load on the vehicle, half-ton trucks are where a lot of people tend to go. The Tundra is a popular contender in the market. The early ones came out in the model year 2000, and they were a little bit smaller than a typical half-ton truck. It was the evolution of the T100. But for the 2007 model year, Toyota introduced a much larger version of the truck to compete with the typical half-ton, so a Ford F-150, a Ram 1500, things like that. That truck soldiered on to 2013, and about the same time as a lot of manufacturers were releasing all new versions of their trucks, Toyota saw fit to also update the Tundra. Note, I said update, not all new. The 2019 Tundra that I'm driving is the same Tundra that was released in 2014, which is technically the same Tundra that was released in 2007. So, while this is a brand new vehicle, this one only has 4,000 miles on it, it's got old bones. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily, although it does show in some cases. So we'll start with the tow down to VIR. It's about a 4.5 hour tow for me. You can't quite go as fast as you would, or you shouldn't go as fast as you would normally when towing a big trailer as you would unloaded. So speeds were kept to about 70 as a maximum. Hooking up the trailer was pretty simple, pretty standard. The Tundra does have a standard backup camera, of course. That's a mandate now for this model year. The overall infotainment system screen is a little on the small side compared to some of the competitors, but it's big enough. The bigger issue you see with the backup camera when you're trying to hook up to a trailer and align the hitch to the ball is the camera resolution is a little bit low. My trailer is stored in a gravel lot, so when you're trying to see the tow ball versus the hitch versus the gravel, things were a little bit pixelated, blurry, whatever you want to call it. And there was no way to zoom in on the camera's view to see everything a little bit closer and clearer. What you see is what you get. So a little bit of an annoyance, but it has a camera, it worked fine. The trailer hooked up very easily, plugged it right in, and I was able to set the built-in trailer brake controller for the proper style of braking. My trailer just has electric brakes, and set the boost for the braking, and we were on our way. This Tundra has a tow rating around 9,000 pounds, so we're not really pushing up against the edge of the towing limits of this truck, but you get close to that 2/3 mark, and that's generally a sweet spot for where things should be pretty comfortable. And comfort on the 2019 Tundra is actually very good. I've had several people ask me, compared to the pre-2014 Tundras, how does this one ride? Everyone has said that the 2007 to 2013 Tundras were very harsh when they were unloaded. I had one friend who left the dealership looking to buy a brand new one back in 2008 or so, and turned out of the dealership, hit a couple bumps, and said, no way, this ride's way too rough, and brought it back. So he in particular was very curious to see how this one handled by comparison. And then the other concern of the outgoing Tundra model was that when you had a trailer hooked up, the suspension was so, I guess, soft that it allowed the rear to sag quite a bit. Now, I did talk to a Toyota technician. He's been working on their vehicles for years and years and years, and he confirmed that the suspension was retuned completely for the 2014 refresh. So my experiences in this 2019 truck will not be the same as what you experienced if you had a prior to 2014 Tundra. First thing I noticed with the 2019 Tundra is the power delivery and acceleration are really, really strong. The drivetrain in this truck is definitely a strong point, and it should be a selling point. This truck and most Tundras come with a 5.7 liter, Toyota calls it an I-Force V8. It makes about 380 horsepower and about 400 foot-pounds of torque. Acceleration is obviously impacted when you've got a bunch of weight behind you, but regardless, this one is geared to get you off the line really quickly. It works well in passing maneuvers if you have to pull out to get around somebody, and it will get you up mountains and hills without a lot of drama. I was noticing some downshifts, several gears down with the revs holding at 4,000, 4,500 RPM. Not really a problem because that's where it's going to make its power, but you get some noise, so you just have to be ready to deal with that. But again, that's not something that is exclusive to Toyota. That's just a general, naturally aspirated way of making power. I mentioned the gearing was good. This truck still has a 6-speed automatic transmission in 2019. That's not necessarily a bad thing, although most of the competition has moved on by now to an 8-speed or a 10-speed in the case of Ford. The 6-speed, like I said, is geared pretty well, so it doesn't necessarily need additional gearing. The only times I felt like it could benefit from some additional gears were when I was going up those hills. General acceleration, it doesn't really need them. And every Tundra, I believe, comes with the 410-to-1 axle gearing, which is going to help with that off-the-line acceleration, like I said. It will come at the expense of fuel economy compared to some competitors who offer some lower gearing ratios, but you won't tow quite as well or accelerate quite as well with those other numerical options like a 355 or a 327 or whatever the case might be. And so the other thing with the Tundra, both in general and with towing, like I said, is the suspension tuning. So Toyota did update the tuning for 2014. They haven't really done anything else beyond that for 2019, but it's very good. Everyone who complained about ride quality, I don't know what they're on about. I haven't driven the outgoing version of this truck from pre-2014. It doesn't beat you up. It rides very smoothly, both loaded up and unloaded. Part of my driving around the DC area is on the George Washington Parkway, which is more or less one big pothole with some lane stripes painted on it, and even there it's pretty composed. The other nice thing with the suspension when you've got the trailer hooked up, some trucks can get a little bit wallowy over bumps. That is to say that the body control isn't quite caught up to the suspension moving around. I thought the Tundra was really, really good for that. Hit some bumps with the trailer attached and everything stayed pretty calm, pretty composed, wasn't trying to hop all over the place. And the one other nice thing to mention about general ride comfort with this Tundra is the seats. The seats are phenomenal. They are nicely sized, they are nicely bolstered, and if you've ever been in a BMW or some other European sports sedans, they have extendable thigh bolsters that can come out to meet the backs of your knees and support your thighs if you're a longer-legged person. I'm about 6'1", and I noticed the extra button on these seats, and of course I had to push it. And what the Tundra will do is it will inflate a thigh bolster that will kind of roll its way out to meet your knees, and it is really, really nice for the sake of supporting longer legs on a long journey. And so, moving on to the interior of the truck and general road trip sorts of creature comforts, I got the chance to experience a lot of it. Like I said, I spent roughly 8 or 9 hours round trip going to and from VIR in this truck. The Platinum is the fully loaded trim. The only options that my truck doesn't have are a sunroof and running boards. Now, the sunroof can be optioned on any Tundra Platinum. It is not a panoramic roof, it's just a regular short, old school style sunroof, which is pretty expected given the age of this truck. But the weird thing is, if you want the sunroof and running boards as a package, Toyota will offer it to you, but only if you get black paint. I don't know why that affects the paint color, given running boards are something that get bolted on after the vehicle's painted, but kind of an interesting tidbit. If you just want the sunroof, you can have it in whatever color you want. There's like 6 to pick from. So, like I said, general creature comforts and features that you notice while driving. Toyota has kept the vehicle pretty up to date. The Platinum does have LED headlights, which are very good. On my drive home, I got the chance to use the high beams in sort of the more country aspect of the drive, and they work very well. They're very bright. And there is a little manual headlight adjustment knob that will aim them up and down. I didn't mess with it because they seemed set just fine, but if you want to do that to compensate for your trailer load, you certainly could. And then you've got a Toyota exclusive, because I believe they hold the patent on it and they're not letting it go. You can roll down the back window. So some trucks have a sliding back window. The Tundra has a feature where the entire back glass can roll down into the back wall of the cab with a button by your left knee. Now, I do believe you can only get the power window on the full CrewMax cab, so if you want a smaller cab and longer bed, you might be out of luck with that. We need to talk about this premium Jbl Audio System. This is something that was apparently a really strong point of the Tundra before the 2014 update, and unfortunately, when Toyota increased the ride quality and worked on all these other things on the truck, they did something to the Jbl Sound System, and it is by far one of the weakest points of this vehicle. The soundstage got moved from more or less your knees in the driver's seat to the front of the cab. It really doesn't sound like there's anything going on behind you. There is a subwoofer. I don't know where it is. I don't know what it's here for. All of the bass is ported right into the front doors. And the general volume was really disappointing. You know, when a lot of us go to these track events, we're really hyped. It's a break from our day-to-day jobs. It's a break from, you know, whatever life is throwing at you. And you get really, really hyped. And you might want to have the windows down and be jamming to whatever, you know, whatever genre, whatever artist you've got at the top of your playlist right now. And unfortunately, the 2019 Tundra with its premium audio system just doesn't deliver in that regard. I tried it. I was, you know, windows down, back window down, really pumped to be going to get my trailer and let's go to the racetrack, let's go racing. And with the audio volume as loud as it goes, there was just no punch. There's just not a lot going on. With the windows rolled up, it's a little better, although you still get to max jamming volume pretty quickly, and there's just not a lot. It's like they're not willing to let you take a risk on how loud it should be for the sake of your hearing. Other manufacturers might do that. And regardless with the windows up or down at any sort of volume, you notice that soundstage problem right away. Definitely a weaker point of this truck. In the brief searching I did, it appears that the issue is mostly found within the JBL amplifier, and people have figured out ways to replace that amplifier or bypass it with a different one and get a lot of the sound quality and the general volume back. And the final thing to mention is all the driver safety features of the 2019 Tundra. Now, all of the 2019s come standard with Toyota Safety Sense P, which is their name for their safety suite that is standard on a lot of vehicles nowadays. With the Tundra, given it's an older vehicle, you can't do quite as much with Toyota Safety Sense. So the biggest feature it has that works well is the adaptive cruise control with braking. So you can have the vehicle set at a certain speed, you can have it, you know, encounter another vehicle in front of you and back off to compensate. That works really well. It does have lane departure warning. It is not lane keep assist, so there's an important distinction there. Lane keep assist is available on some other competitors' trucks, and it will actively steer the truck back into the lane if you start to wander. With this truck, it will notice that you're leaving the lane, and all it will do is beep at you. So it doesn't really actively help you out. It also has rear cross traffic alert, which will notify you if there's someone coming, say, while you're backing out of a parking spot. That's a really nice feature that I appreciate quite a bit. And then it does have blind spot monitoring. We're seeing that be pretty standard across a lot of brands and a lot of vehicles, especially in trucks. Although Ford in particular outshines a lot of the competition in that their blind spot monitoring can be used with a trailer up to 33 feet long hooked up. So the Ford trucks will monitor your blind spot all the way down the length of your trailer, whereas this Tundra and a lot of other brands cannot do that. So I shouldn't say it's disappointing to not see it, because that's kind of a Ford exclusive feature for the moment, or at least from what I know it is. But that's an area where Toyota could certainly improve upon looking forward, is more of these safety systems that work with the trailer attached. Toyota even says not to use the adaptive cruise control with a trailer hooked up. So kind of disappointing, because a lot of other brands will let you do that, and they calibrate the truck when in tow haul mode to adjust all those systems for the trailer's weight. So that's kind of a quick rundown of the 2019 Tundra. The biggest elephant in the room when we talk about this vehicle is the price of it. They included a copy of the window sticker for me, and this one has a few dealer installed accessories. It's got some paint protection film, it's got a drop-in bed liner, which, by the way, don't ever get a drop-in bed liner, get a spray-in bed liner. And this is, if you will, more like a base Platinum without the sunroof, without the running boards. And the MSRP of this truck is over $52,000. It's encroaching on $53,000. And it is a very competent truck. But, like I said earlier, it has old bones, and it kind of feels like it has old bones. So certain things just aren't quite up to par, because it's just not a brand new truck. And that's okay, but for $53,000, I think this is a really hard value proposition. My one friend is looking at buying a Tundra brand new. She does not want a used vehicle, and she was really curious to hear my thoughts on the Platinum versus the lower trims, and her one requirement was heated seats. Well, you can get heated seats on the Limited and save quite a bit of money, and the Limited, I think, is more of the sweet spot for general money outlay if you're buying one of these brand new. It comes in under 50 grand, and if you're going for that, Toyota reliability, and you don't need the most up-to-date features, but you want some niceties, I think the Limited is more where you should be looking. And so that's it for this brief video take of the 2019 Toyota Tundra Platinum CrewMax. Hopefully you've enjoyed following along. And like I said, if you'd like to see more impressions on this and follow the competitive endeavors of some LGBT motorsports participants, head on over to outmotorsports.com for a lot more where this came from. Big thank you to Toyota for providing this vehicle for the week, and we are hoping to provide more reviews similar to this coming up very shortly.